These will be the visual aids that I'm using for my proposal speech. Everybody, please raise your right hand if you are 21 years of age or older. Now please raise your left hand if you've ever had an alcoholic beverage before. If everybody would like to take a second and look around the room, you'll see there's quite a few left hands raised. There aren't right hands. This means you guys are a part of the 68% of Americans that have engaged in underage drinking. Don't worry, I'm not singling anybody out, I'm not being critical. I myself have engaged in underage drinking. I'm 27 now, but at the age of 18, I can remember having my first beer, my first shot, certainly remember my first hangover. To be completely honest, by the time I was 21, three of my best friends were Jim, Jack, and Jose. It's kind of interesting to me. It feels like growing up there was such a stigma against underage drinking. For example, I recall an episode of Boy Meets World when the main character, Corey, engages in underage drinking. The remainder of the episode is quite a lesson on why underage drinking is harmful to yourself and your family and how alcohol abuse can affect you. It seems like nowadays all representation of underage drinking in the media is much closer to McLovin. McLovin is a character in the film Superbad. McLovin was quite the lovable loser. That is, until he got his fake ID. Upon acquiring his fake ID, he instantly had quite a few friends that he didn't previously have. This is because he could aid them in underage drinking. With all representations in the media being much closer to that of McLovin than Corey from Boy Meets World, I wondered to myself, what's the point of having a legal drinking age at all? I am not proposing to lower the drinking age from 21 to 18. I am proposing to remove a minimum drinking age in its entirety. I understand, it seems drastic, it seems extreme, it even seems downright reckless. But by the end of this speech, I hope you'll understand why I believe that is the right course of action. First off, I believe having a minimum drinking age creates a sense of forbidden fruit. If you remove it entirely, drinking becomes less enticing. Secondly, I believe that what is underage drinking now will be brought into a more public forum, which leads to the youth drinking taking place in a more safe environment. Lastly, I believe underage drinking laws as they stand now are entirely ineffective. Now that you have an idea of what I'm proposing, let's get down to the meat and potatoes of it. Beginning with forbidden fruit. The concept of forbidden fruit exists many places in our society. In this case, it's underage drinking. How exciting was it to drink the first time that you did? Maybe many of you didn't care. However, I can recall it being very exciting at 18 simply because I knew I wasn't supposed to. It's just a very common thing in our society. One of the things I read that was very interesting when researching this is that in 1984, when the national drinking age was raised from 18 to 21, there was a drastic spike in underage drinking. Now, of course, there's going to be a spike just because those 18, 19, and 20-year-olds that were previously legal drinkers instantly became illegal drinkers. That's going to happen. The more interesting part is that it continued to spike after that. Why? I believe because forbidden fruit. Those 15, 16, 17-year-olds that previously didn't really care too much whether they drank or not, because 18 was so close, instantly saw 21 so far away and thought, oh, I better get drinking. Another interesting thing is, in other countries where the drinking age may be lower than 21 or there's no minimum drinking age at all, alcohol is not treated like the magic potion that it is considered in our society. It's much different. They look at alcohol much differently. And I believe that removing a minimum drinking age will slowly get us closer to that. Secondly, I believe that removing a minimum drinking age entirely allows for younger drinkers to drink more safely. What do I mean by this? According to the CDC, excessive drinking is responsible for more than 4,300 deaths among underage youth every year. It's quite a significant amount. Why is this? Well, there's quite a few reasons. Underage drinkers tend to binge drink far more. They tend to take part in more risky behaviors in general. And lastly, and most importantly, they tend to be very unsafe when they drink. For example, here's a picture of a young girl drinking in the woods. I can remember being underage, and where did I drink? In the woods. I live in Naples, and we've got quite a lot of woods around here. I certainly remember making some poor decisions while drinking in the woods. My parents didn't know where I were. Very few people knew what I was doing. What if something would have happened? I'm very thankful that nothing did. However, underage drinking forces these people that are already decided they're going to drink in private. Removing a legal drinking age will allow these people to come in more public forums, bars, and more public social settings where they can be monitored. They can be monitored by the owners, by the employees, and just their peers in general. You tend to hold yourself more accountable when you know there's people watching. Lastly, I believe that minimum drinking age laws as they stand are entirely ineffective. According to a 2010 study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine, excessive drinking cost the United States $250 billion, with 10% of that being attributed to underage drinkers. Obviously, these laws are very expensive to enforce and to follow through with. This is something that if you lower the age, that money, however, can be rerouted into education. So often, individuals are arrested for underage drinking and put into the criminal justice system. Frequently, these people are not criminals. Why get them in this system? Let's teach them. Let's teach them from the beginning. One piece of research I read was that in Oregon, they found $33 million was spent enforcing laws against underage drinking. Think of what $33 million could do to help the youth understand healthy ways to drink. If we start educating at a young age of what a healthy way to consume alcohol is, long term our society will be better off. We'll have a healthier outlook on alcohol. When we take a look at the information I've presented, it's clear to me that having a minimum drinking age in our society is not doing the good that it is perceived to be. Our culture has an obsession with alcohol, and I believe for the long-term viability of our society's relationship with alcohol, we need to take the step of removing the drinking age entirely. First off, if you remove the drinking age, it takes away the concept of forbidden fruit and instantly lowers the rate of alcohol use in young people. Second, young people themselves will drink in safer environments. They will be less likely to partake in risky behavior, but if they do, they will not be afraid to go to proper authorities because they're afraid to be in trouble. Lastly, the laws that are in place now are very ineffective. The amount of money that is spent can be used to help start educating the youth at a young age and have a long-term impact on how alcohol is seen in our society. You know, sometimes you need to strip something down to the very bottom to be able to build it up properly. And I believe that removing the drinking age in its entirety can start this process so that in 30, 40 years, couple generations, our children, our grandchildren can use alcohol much more safely. Please keep calm and drink responsibly.